welcome back everyone to the next iteration of this series where I am once again going to be talking through some macro, but this time we're going to be focusing on a different role. If you didn't see my previous video, I walked through a game of Lapras to talk about how to macro as a tank in the best way that I could, and in this game I'm going to be showing you a different role, the bottom path attacker, which is focused more on doing some damage, staying in the fight, trying to grab KOs. It's a role that many people play and many enjoy playing, so we're going to be looking at this game. I'm using Sylveon for this one, so it is a Pokemon that is often used in that bottom path attacker role. It can be played with multiple builds. Mystical Fire and Hyper Voice are both pretty good builds, and it's known for having a really great early game and then kind of falling off a little bit in the late game. So we're going to talk about all those kinds of things as we take a look at this match. So here we go, getting right into this match here. I am taking Sylveon into the bottom path, and this is already pretty important to acknowledge that I am paired with a Swinub here in this bottom path. They do not have an EXP share. Notice that they don't have a light bulb above their head, so they don't have an EXP share, though it would be very valuable if they did. Sylveon evolves at level 4, and it's not that big of a deal. I will probably be able to get my level 4, but generally in any type of competitive setting, you would have an EXP share with you in the bottom path, but for the purposes of solo queue, that doesn't happen all the time. So just something to keep a lookout for. Not going to be getting EXP as fast as I could be getting it if I had an EXP share Pokemon. I'm going to secure, and I am stacking here. I'm stacking special attack specs just for some extra damage, so I'm going to run over immediately and grab a stack here, looking for a secure. I do not get it, and this is just a lot of, like, this laning phase is really dependent on what you actually want to do and what your lane partner actually wants to do. I could stay on the opposite side, just make sure I get my level 4 first. Some people like to early stack. I went for it in this match, and this time the Swinub followed me. So it's really up to you with how you want to approach the early laning phase. It can be a difficult decision to make when you're deciding if you want to stack early or wait a little bit, but in this case I just decided to go for trying to stack here. I'm not able to get any points though, unfortunately. The secure isn't really in Sylveon's favor, and my Swinub is also going for some secures, so I really don't get anything out of this, unfortunately. But we are able to secure all their farm, and the Swinub actually goes back to try to defend. You can see them over here. They went back over to try to defend against this Blissey and the Scyther that we saw in path, and I'm gonna be able to get another stack, and I do have my level 4 now, so I don't know, this could be, you know, you could argue that this is not a good play by me and I shouldn't be over there for that long because, you know, I don't really like it when both players in the lane go to one side, and, you know, it just depends. This is kind of like a, you're not inting really in this case. You're not giving up any free KOs, so it can kind of go either way. But I will be getting another stack here, and then I can kind of meet my Swinub, and I do end up getting a KO, which is really huge. So the Swinub here did a great job of what I like to call pincering them. They pushed the enemies directly into me, and I'm already pretty strong. So even though this Blissey, you'll notice here, they have an EXP share, so they're powering up their Scyther quite a lot. Even though we don't have that on our side, being able to pick up a KO early is fantastic, and Swinub did a great job pushing them directly into me. I will grab another stack here, but I am pretty low, so I'm just gonna move on, try to get some secures of these birds in the middle. Luckily, Blissey misses the pound there, so we are able to get out. I'm gonna try to get another score, and then I'm gonna eject away. So I got kind of lucky here. Maybe I shouldn't have gone for that other stack, but having 4 stacks this early is pretty big. I'm level 5. I'm not that far enough ahead to where giving up a KO in that situation would give a ton of comeback experience toward that Scyther. So it's fine. I don't know if I would completely recommend like staying in that situation, but I'm kind of stack pilled, so I was able to get another stack. It worked out for me. I had an eject button up and a mystical fire up, so I was pretty confident that I'd be able to get away here. The Scyther is going to look for me, but I'm able to get her out. So my positioning here, you know, as the attacker, I'm not very concerned with what my Piloswine is doing. I'm just kind of concerned with getting my own levels. That's kind of the difference in mindset between a carry and a tank. I want to get my levels, I want to get my stacks. I'm not really trying to open up anything for this Piloswine, but they should be trying to open things up for me. So I am able to get out here. The Scyther comes over here to look for me, but I'm able to get out, so they're just going to go back in on this Piloswine instead. And I'm going to have to reset here. And notice in the bottom path, the Piloswine, they're the tank. They should not be going down here. And they're doing a pretty good job of making sure that they're held off until I get back. That's kind of what you would want to do in this situation. Luckily, I didn't go down, so it's pretty good. And now that I'm back and this Scyther is now a Scizor, I can help this Mamoswine take them down here. So we saw a really great play from that Mamoswine. They Ice Fanged them over towards me. And with Mystical Fire, I can kind of bounce around so the Scizor can't really jump into me that much. But I do want to go back just a second so that you can see kind of the way that this is a micro, obviously, moment for me, but I still want to, you know, bring it up just to show. So I jump in with Mystical Fire, but notice I'm not running all the way in here on this Scizor, because the Scizor is a melee Pokemon and it does really well as soon as it gets close to an enemy. So I'm not going to go in too far. I don't want it to be able to heal up with its Bullet Punch, so I'm leaving that up to the Piloswine, which is why I stay back here. The Scizor does go for me, which is pretty smart. They are going to jump in on me, but notice how I'm immediately backing away because I don't want them to be able to use their moves on me and heal off me. So I back away. I'm not running into them or anything like that, but luckily the Piloswine here does a great job of grabbing that KO. I'm just going to chase down this Blissey a little bit, but notice how I'm positioning here. I am positioning around this tall grass so that the Blissey can't see me, and I'm immediately going to go for their farm. So notice, this is kind of the bigger macro discussion here. I did not come in here for these 8 minutes because we were in the middle of a fight. If we were not in the middle of a fight, I would have made my way into the central area, but our Ceruledge is in there, so somebody should have went in there. That's just like somebody should have went in there with the Ceruledge. We have 2 members we can see over there, but at this point, after I have now chased the Blissey back over to their side, Scizor is down. They have just respawned. You can see that their timer isn't up anymore, so they have just respawned and they're likely to come down here, or at least that's what you'd expect them to do. You'd expect them to come right back down. But it's a little bit too late at this point for me to come into the central area and look for this fight with Ceruledge. So instead, I'm going to try to put a little bit of pressure on this piece of farm, but I make sure that I head into the tall grass to do that. And that's just so that they don't have vision on me. Blissey can't target me with any moves, things like that. So I'm going to pressure it, drag the farm in here so that Blissey has to follow me in. They do get that secure. So the Blissey does end up picking up that secure, but Piloswine has followed me over here, so they can act as a distraction while I look to pressure now this Indeedee. You'll also notice that the Cinderace took down the Ceruledge in center, and the Blissey has now followed into center. So we kind of are in a weird spot, and if we notice that we're in a weird spot here, our jungler went down. Blissey might also go down because no one else is in there. We had to make a weird decision not to head to 8-minute birds because we were in the middle of a fight. So the best thing that me and this Piloswine can try to do right now is just try to win this lane and keep putting pressure on as much as possible. They did another great thing here. They're able to grab the Blissey, position them for me, and now the Scizor is back. I'm going to grab another stack. I look for secure, but I don't get it. Piloswine does another great job of Ice Fanging that Scizor. They go down here, They were low health to begin with, so it's kind of expected, but we do end up picking up that Scizor. I'm able to get my last stack. I might actually go for more here. Yeah, I'm just going to put more points in, just try to get more experience. I mean, the name of the game right now for me, seeing that the game hasn't really swung in any direction yet. I mean, we did lose our jungler once, but I'm at a pretty good level. And the goal for me right now is just going to be to get experience, get my levels up, try to pick up KOs where I can. So at this point, I'm going to be looking for secures on farm, looking for these 720s that are about to spawn, and just kind of hope for the best. I see that Blissey's almost 6. So this is an interesting thing here. I didn't see the Scizor coming in quite yet, so I jumped in. Probably shouldn't have made the decision to jump in towards them because my Piloswine isn't back yet. So keep that in mind for the rest of this fight. But I'm a little bit too confident right now because I have pretty decent levels. But notice how much we were winning this lane. Scizor went down multiple times. They're still level 7 at a higher point than me. And that's a lot of that is because of the EXP share difference. Their Blissey has EXP share, and we don't have an EXP share, so that Scizor's been able to still get ahead. And now they made a bad decision to run in at us, so not that great here. But now this is kind of, let me just back up for a second. This is interesting because as the attacker, you need to see where everyone else is on the map and basically just backline, throw your damage, wait for your tank to set you up. Scizor here comes in a little bit too far. Mamoswine picks them up and throws them towards me, or away from me, and then pushes them also away. You might want to push them towards me because they're low health in this situation, but they push them towards the center because there's a fight happening. We now see that there's 3 members of the orange team, the enemy team, down here, and just 2 members of our team. So now I'm going to be playing pad. That's a really important thing to remember. I, as the attacker, am squishier, and I'm not really, like, I'm not an engaged tool for our team. That's going to be the Piloswine. So I'm going to play pad. Make sure that I don't get dove and I don't get taken down because we are already outnumbered down here, and it looks like my team has really no intention of coming down. So I'm going to try to get picks where I can. I do get one. And notice here, Piloswine went in and I left. I went for farm. I don't have ult, and there's still 2 of them. I didn't really think it was a great idea to try to go for a further engage here, but Piloswine does. Luckily, I mean, they're a pretty good player. You can see from like the way that they're playing that they just back out. You know, they went in, they realized that I didn't follow them, they backed out. And that's kind of, you know, the tank sets up something and they get out if their carry doesn't follow up with it. But now that I have my Unite move, I am level 8. I'm looking for some secures, but it's a little hard for Sylveon with Mystical Fire to get any secure happening. So I can pressure farm as much as I want, but there's no, you know, definite that I'm going to be securing anything. I'm going to come down here now and see. So my goal here with tapping this Reggie is because I don't know who is here anymore. We took down Scizor, and I don't know if they came back or if they instead went top. So I'm not sure where they are, and if I start tapping the objective, they're probably going to come out. But I don't actually have an intention at that point of ripping the objective. So make sure that if you are going to start tapping an objective, you either know what you're doing that for and you don't get tunnel visioned on trying to take the objective, and instead focus on what your goals are at that point. So I found that Scizor's there, so I'm going to back off of the objective immediately and then go for that Scizor, just try to do some damage on them, try to distract. I don't want them to be ripping this objective. I don't want them to be taking it, so I'm going to try to go in here. This is a Registeel. So me doing this is a risky play because Piloswine's no longer there. you'll notice that Piloswine is at base right now. But Ceruledge is coming down, and they are level 9 with a Unite move. So I make the risky decision. Let's back up a little bit. So I go for Scizor. You'll notice that Piloswine is caught over on the other side, so they go down. So we now know that Cinderace is here. And we see that Ceruledge is on their way. So they're coming, and they have an ult, which is a really, really good ult. So my decision here is let me see if I can either get a secure or if I can pick up something. So I'm jumping in, and both Blissey and Scizor are now on me. My best thing that I can possibly do is just go for an ult, look for a secure, and see if I can get out. So it's definitely a risk here, but I am going to be able to pick up Cinder. And Ceruledge is now here. Registeel's very, very low, and luckily, Ceruledge gets it. So it ended up being a pretty good call to jump in there because we do get the objective. And now, if we can both get out, that's going to be a huge win for us because we just won this 2-on-3. So Ceruledge pops their Unite move. Great timing for that. I'm able to pick up a double. I look for that triple, and we're able to push in because now we have the Reggie buff. That's going to be huge for us. I take their berry. That's another thing to also keep in mind. If you're able to take the opposite team's berries, do that. You have to know when to stand here and score, like when to stand and look for a score while your teammate zones, and when to like go for berries or just continue doing damage. It's now just Blissey here. So Ceruledge gets them. We go for a score. I have stacks, and I don't know if Ceruledge has stacks, so that's why I let him score that. I fully have stacks. We have the same number of points, so I back off. They score, and now we can go into the kind of mid-game farming phase, which just I'm now focused on getting my Unite move back. Like as a carry with a decent Unite move cooldown, I'm just trying to get some last hits and get my Unite move back. So let's look at the state of the map right now. I grab all the farm that's down here. Piloswine again is trying to force their way into the tier 2, and I honestly don't think that's a bad play here. I don't mind this because they are distracting at least 2 in this bottom path while we have an objective up top that we can look to secure. So I don't really mind that. They also are a Mamoswine now, and they have a Unite move, so if they want to distract, like, I'm kind of all for it. You know, they can go for it here. And we're going to be able to get now this objective. Cinderace goes for it, so now that we know that Cinderace is here, I'm playing backline. Again, I'm looking for secures. And the best thing you can do when you get Regieleki is walk with Regieleki. Don't precede Regieleki. You want to let them walk first, and then you follow, because Regieleki is doing a lot of damage, and you want to stay behind them so that you can get the value out of that damage. So during that time, while I'm waiting for Regieleki to walk forward, I'm looking for secures so that I can farm up my Unite move. But now, there's only 2 here. Machamp is here. Cinderace is here. Reggie walks in, and I have 40 points. So my goal here is going to be to score that 40 points. Blissey, unfortunately, scores with a low overcap, and we're not able to get the 40 points, but that's okay. You know, Unite players can't do math. And we back out now. Or at least I back out. There's an argument for continuing this push because we know that there's a few down here and we might be able to get something done, but I always go for the, like, let's play it safe because we're winning right now, and if we get forward and they take us out, then they push over here and then they can get, you know, we can just give up our lead immediately. So I decide to back out. My team is doing the same thing, and I head back top. And the reason that I'm trying to go back top here is because my entire team is now circulating bottom. I think this is like, it's not a mistake, but it's a thing that a lot of players do where they see that somebody was here and they think that there's action there, so they want to go to where that action is. So Blissey starts heading down there. Buzzwole starts heading down there. I check to where my Mamoswine's at because they went down and they went AFK for a second, but all was well. I checked top. Doesn't seem like anyone's there. And it also seems like Mamoswine and Cerulege are close enough to top to where they would be able to stop any push that's happening up there. So I head bottom to help out here. And immediately we have a fight breaking out here. We have at least 3. Was there 4? We do have 4. So we see Machamp, Blissey, Cinder, and Scizor all down here. So it was a good choice for me to end up going down there. And we see that their 5th is top. So now we know that Mamoswine is going to be dealing with this Psyduck while everyone else is down here. So Cerulege also made their way bot. It was a good choice for them to do that as well, because now we're going to make this a 4v4 fight. I make sure here that I jump backwards because number 1, we're seeing Unite moves popping all over the place. Number 2, Machamp is here. If Machamp catches me in their Unite move, I'm probably just dead. And also, I am the attacker. I am the ranged character on the team. My goal is to play at range, so I'm gonna back up. Even though Sylveon can brawl a little bit with Mystical Fire, I am backing up here. And I'm staying in the back line. I am letting Cerulege set me up. I get the Blissey ult. Probably the Blissey was going for Cerulege here. I can't imagine why they would Unite move me. They probably just misclicked on me because the Cerulege went in with the Revenant Rend here. They stun everybody, and since I do have the Blissey ult, I can be a little bit more confident. Machamp goes for an ult on me. They kind of hit, they kind of miss, and we're able to pretty much clean that fight up. But the really only macro thing that's important there is that I went towards the back so that I can deal damage from range instead of getting caught up in all those melee fights. Part of the goal of the all-rounder, the top laner, the jungler, anyone who's melee, is to set things up so that nobody's focused on me. So if nobody's focused on me, I can be doing damage from the back line. And now again, I could be headed top here, but look at Mamoswine's health. I could be headed top, but number 1, Mamoswine is full health. Number 2, my team is all moving up through center. And number 3, my Unite move is at 42%. So I'm gonna look for more farm. If I get my level 12, I get my upgrade on my second move, and I'm gonna clear jungle because it's up. My entire team is kind of moving top because we want this objective. Now, there's an option here for me to head back bottom after, clearing some of this. By the way, I saw Cerulege come back in. I didn't think they were going to, so I left the blue buff for them because they are the jungler. And, it's pretty important that they continue to get levels, so I leave the blue buff for them. But I could go back bottom here because my entire team is headed top just to defend this bottom pad because we probably win a fight up here without me. But I decide to go back top here, and it kind of just comes down to this could be the last fight, last big fight where we're using Unite moves or where they're using Unite moves on us because the timer's at 3:32, and getting this Regieleki will continue to put pressure on the map. And even if they do head bottom here, we can push this Regieleki potentially in if they're distracted at our bottom goal zone. But it's a good play to stay bottom here if you are the bottom path attacker or like an attacker Pokemon, because you can at least get vision and see where they're at if they are coming towards the bottom path, just to make sure that you can defend. But I go top here. I want to be involved in this fight. I want to look for some more last hits. And it looks like Cerulege is also doing the same. You can see them start to move up as well. So we're just going to 5-man this Regieleki. And that's kind of what happens a lot of time in solo queue. You don't see a lot of spread across the map all the time. We are able to get this, but we did see that somebody was in those bushes. So I'm playing a little bit careful, standing off to the side of my team. I'm using the bushes so that I'm not getting targeted here. Make sure that you're using the tall grass so they can't see you. We also notice here that Blissey went bottom, so they don't have a support right now, and my team wants to push. I hate this play. Blissey scores bottom. They break. Blissey is probably going to immediately turn around and come top. I really don't like this push when there's jump pads up, especially now that's 307. It's a little bit late in the game. We don't have the levels. I mean, I'm the highest level right now. Ceruledge is coming as well. They're a higher level than me, I believe. But I don't like this push. I really don't. But that's what my team is doing here. So I'm going to feel it out and kind of watch the way I play this here. I'm looking for farm more than I'm looking for a push. And I'm being very careful about how I'm positioning myself. Again, I move toward that tall grass. I'm staying outside the fight. I have like this ring here. Like I am seeing where they are and I'm staying a distance away for them where they can't reach me, and just kind of playing around my tank and support, waiting for them to make the first move, seeing what Ceruledge is going to do. And it ends up kind of working out for us here. Mamoswine uses an ult, probably a little bit late, but we are able to pick up some KOs. I'm going to jump on their pad, and I'm in a weird spot because I have ended up in the middle of the fight. But in this situation, that is not that bad. Generally, as an attacker, you don't want to be in the middle of the fight. You want to be outside the fight like I was before, making sure you're positioning around everyone else and playing off of your tank and supports or your dives engage. But I have ended up in the middle, and that is because they have split up. So we've now created a line where they're separated from each other, and we are winning both sides of it. Cinderace is too far from them now. Machamp is too far from them now. Their Blissey is going down here from to me, but you know, as a result of Buzzwole. But you'll notice here that I do end up getting out. So we can watch this again. I jump in because Machamp and Blissey are back here, and I'm assuming that the fight is now being pushed back, so this is going to be like the outer ring, and I'm kind of following what Mamoswine is doing here. But it turns out that Cinderace jumps in, and they end up over here, so now I'm kind of in the middle. Buzzwole pops an ult here. Not my favorite decision to use it this late, but you know, getting a big point lead is definitely good. We can also notice that Psyduck's on the completely opposite side of the map. Psyduck seems to be, you know, giving up or whatever. They're not coming back, so we have a pretty good chance to still win this fight. And then you'll notice here that my goal is now to get back out of the middle of the fight. Blissey now goes down, so we know that Blissey is down, we know that Scizor's down. We know that Machamp is likely to be backing up, and Cinder is in a bad spot because they need to get on their pad to heal or move into their own jungle or move into their own flux zone, and they can't do any of that from the position that they are in. But my goal is still going to be to get outside this fight. I'm the attacker. I need to be away from the enemies. So I'm going to jump away so that when Scizor jumps in, I am now back at the outside of the fight, and I just set this Cinderace up to be attacked by all three of them. So it ends up working out for us, I guess. Cinder goes down. Machamp shows up, but they are pushed out very quickly, so the Reggie does end up walking in here. But you did see me jump back out again. I went back out this way. You know, I'm kind of weaving in and out, but my goal as the attacker is to stay on the outside, let my melee Pokemon teammates, you know, kind of set me up and do all the work. We get points in. We break here. I have a Unite move, but this is because we chose to make this push, which again, I don't know. It's not my favorite. I don't like it. But since we did choose to do that, we don't have a lot of Unite moves available. It's 2 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock. My Mamo's up here. We're all in their jungle. Like, I would really like if my team backed up here because there's a couple pieces of farm on our side and they could use their Unite moves for this end fight. But they're hanging out in the enemy jungle. So, I mean, I'm just going to look for level 13. Kind of a rule of thumb for any carry role is that you want to be level 13 at least by Ray. For something like Sylveon or something else that gets its plus moves at level 10 and 12, it's not as big of a deal to be level 13, but still, as a rule of thumb, you would want to be level 13. So I will be able to get that. And my team is in a weird spot. I think that at this point, Ceruledge is really kind of knows what they're doing, and everyone else is a little confused. The Blissey's trying to support. It's never the support's fault. But Buzzwole is in over here. They're in, like, way deep. They need to back up. They don't have a Unite move. Blissey doesn't have a Unite move. Ceruledge is the only one that's kind of, you know, considering going to the pit right now. And luckily, Mamo has backed up, and they have eyes on Machamp. So they're pushing them into the central area. My Blissey and Buzzwole are a little bit deep right now. And I know at this point, because I saw it on the minimap, because Mamoswine chased Machamp down here, I know that I don't want to walk through this area because Machamp is probably going to be coming down here, and I don't think that I could win a 1v1 versus them. But you'll also notice that their team is not really well positioned either. And that's kind of like an interesting part about doing these macro videos, because a lot of it is about positioning and where to be and when, and nobody's doing it right. My team's not, their team's not. Like, what is this? Why are they over here? That's a really bad, like, horrible play. They shouldn't be over here. They shouldn't be over here, and for some reason they didn't end up going down, and they should have. So a lot of this just ends up being like, what should happen is never what happens, but, you know, the best you can do is just try to get your levels and be there and make the impact that makes sense. I decide here that I'm going to head down to meet up with this Ceruledge, even though they probably can handle this. We are able to grab the Psyduck, and luckily the Blissey and Buzzwole wrap back around to meet me and Ceruledge here. So that's probably the best way that this could have ended up for us. But my goal is to go down and meet the Ceruledge with this Psyduck here instead of going through here and looking to meet up with Buzzwole and Blissey, because the Psyduck is on our side. So I can retreat easier to our side if I meet up with Ceruledge than if I try to walk through center by myself as the squishy attacker to try to get Buzzwole and Blissey. So I'm still always thinking as the bottom path attacker, how can I end up on the outside of the fight? And I do that here. Buzzwole catches somebody. I don't even know what that is right now. Buzzwole catches them right here, and I'm still on the outside of the fight. I'm looking to chase them. I'm looking to get some damage on them, but still I'm looking on the outside of the fight. At this point, this is a bad macro decision. This is a bad macro decision from me. To jump forward while my team's going to pivot onto Ray, I instead jump forward into this tall grass. I'm gambling on the fact that there's 2 down right now. We get Machamp, we get Psyduck. I'm gambling on the fact that there's probably no one in here who can one-shot me. I'm making a total gamble on that. Not a good play from me, so, you know, feel free to flame me for that if you want. Not a good play from me. But, you know, I'm going for the gamble here. And it pays off. My team pivots toward Ray, and I am looking to zone a little bit. I do push this Cinder out, and at this point, we have full control over this pit, and my team is going to rip it, and Blissey has decided that if they're going to ult anybody, at this point it's going to be me, because I'm the one who's looking for people to do damage on. So the Blissey is helping me out here. They're following me around. Scissor's jumping in. I'm going to go into the pit to grab Scissor to make sure that they are not going to be able to secure Ray, because my team has decided to just rip it. Blissey ults into the pit, grabs Buzzwole in their ult. We get them, we get Ray. It was a clean Ray fight because the enemy team was so displaced and 2 of them went down, and they were just kind of badly positioned the entire time, if I'm being completely honest. So I'm trusting the fact that my support is now pocketing me, and I'm going to try to zone because I don't know if my Mamo's coming in, and both of my melees are now in the pit ripping. So if somebody comes in, I'm gonna have to be the one to get vision. So that's kind of what I'm going off of. But that team, you know, they were not positioned very well. and we caught them, and there's a lot of weird things. So yeah, we get Ray, we kind of stomp them on their own goal, we hang out, we win this game, obviously. I did pretty well. I got 11 KOs, 84,000-ish damage. My team did a pretty good job. Generally, pretty good game, and a lot of the results of this game ended up being due to the fact that the enemy team was just badly positioned. Our macro was better than theirs. We caught them out. We maintained control over the pit. I continued to do damage to them and look for zoning opportunities because we had that control over the pit. Otherwise, as an attacker, stay behind the fight, stay on the outside of the fight, wait for your tank and support to set up engagements for you, do damage from the outside. It just ended up that in that moment, the best thing for me to do was to look for zoning opportunities because my other teammates were in the pit going for Rayquaza. So you learn to adapt, but one of the biggest roles of attacker is you stay on the outside, you do damage from the outside, and you try not to get too close to the enemy. Alright, that's going to be it for episode 2 of this. So we saw tank last time, we're seeing attacker this time. I've got some more coming up of this, so, let me know what you think. Let me know if this helped you at all. Let me know if there's some other, specific Pokemon that you might want to see, because some roles have Pokemon that play very differently in them, depending on what that Pokemon is. So do let me know. That is gonna be it. I will see you all next time. Bye!